Happy Monday. Hello. Hi. Welcome. Strawberries. They are a thing that exists. They also are looking really nice. I got 2 containers. This one's a little bit less nice. We're going to use some of these for recipes that don't necessarily need fresh strawberry. These slightly underripe ones will be perfect for some of our more intensely cooked elements. Let's get started. Number 1, I'm pressure cooking some meat. So let's pop over here. Here's the base of our magic pot. Into it I shall place 1 pork stock cube and this, which we need to get open. These are they're called riblets. They're like rib end sections. And there's a bunch of things you can do with them. What I'm going to do with them is, and this one was in the discount bin, I'm 100% sure, because this part was cut really, really strangely. People looked at it and were like, ugh. But what I'm going to do with it is put it in here, raw as can be. Wash my hands. We're not even going to sear it because I'm going to sear it after the fact. We're just going to pressure cook it until it absolutely falls apart. No muss, no fuss. We're going to use the drippings. So I'm putting the stock cube in there to flavor our drippings a little bit. Get the raw meat off my hands before I touch anything else. And that should be the only raw meat element we have the whole day. So that should be the only mandatory hand wash. We'll probably wash our hands a couple of more times, but I think that's the only absolute mandatory hand wash of the day, because the next time we touch this, it is going to be cooked quite firmly. Water in. As the water in here boils, that thing will dissolve. Hopefully it will dissolve fully. If not, then we'll deal with it when we get that far. Putting this thing in the old pressure pot. Turn it on. Lock. 20 minutes. Okay. That was part 1. Part 1 was darn easy. Part 2. We're already on to part 2. We've only been here for 7 minutes. And like 4 of those minutes were the lead-in and the ad. Let's make sure there's nothing in my oven. There's not. We're going to preheat our oven. Yeah, okay. Part 2. I need to melt some butter. Rather than use the microwave, I am choosing to melt some butter here. We do need the board. I want to cut stuff into my worktop. So I'm going to gently melt some butter. It might even do it off of residual from the oven being on, but we will turn the burner on low. Boy, it's been a while since I made a cheesecake. I hope I remember, and by remember, I mean I hope I got a recipe that works as well as the last time I did this. We have pre-crushed graham crackers because I can't be bothered to crush my own. And I actually think it's cheaper to buy them this way. When making, when making the crust for a cheesecake. Now this recipe that I'm using actually is different, and I'm going to immediately ignore it and go with how I've learned how to do it in the past, which is you have to add sugar to the crumb. I've had a problem in the past with not adding some sugar and the crumb not hardening up enough and ending up soggy on the bottom. So I'm adding a tablespoon and a half of sugar to my 1 cup of crumb to ensure that the sugar will melt in the oven when we blind bake it and help harden up our crust. Because you do not want soggy crust. As usual, when you make a dessert, the dessert takes a lot longer than the main dish. So although we started the pressure cooking first, most of our initial work here is going to be on the cheesecake. And then the cheesecake is going to cool while we do pretty much everything else. It's going to cook and then cool while we do pretty much everything else. And it should, in theory, be ready to unmold and slice at the end. I've had a problem in the past where I made a cheesecake, and because of the resting time that a cheesecake requires, I was not able to unmold and slice it by the end of the show, which is a little bit disappointing, and something I'd rather avoid. I put the wrong burner on. I wonder that butter's not melting. I had the front one on, low enough that I can almost touch the burner, so we're just barely warming it. But I'm in no rush today. Let's see. My tin can fit in my... Yes. Yes. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pre-wrap my spring form in foil before I do anything else. You should be over here with me because I'm doing this. We give it a double layer for safety because you really don't want water getting under there. And aluminum foil definitely can tear. Hopefully, all is well. Looks good to me. We'll leave it like that. And then when we get to the actual final baking, the reason we wrap it in foil is because we're going to put this in here, and we're going to fill in the outside area with water. And we really don't want that water getting into our cake, because that will cause our cake to be a soggy mess, which we're trying to avoid. I was tempted to throw some strawberries directly into the pressure cooker just to sort of infuse, because we have some of these slightly underripe ones that I thought would be perfect for really cooking the heck out of. I'm still going to use them for that purpose. It's just I'm going to do it on the stove top instead of in the cooker. Some of these strawberries are just like so gorgeous. I can hardly stand to do anything with them except eat them. This pack I bought. Ooh, actually, some of these we should use up for sure today because they're getting a little bit spots on them. Because they were super, super ripe when I got them. And I did not eat them all immediately. But let's have a snacker. One of them at least. I want to take a peek on the inside of a strawberry. Yeah. I am not. I know some people just go crazy for strawberries, and I like a strawberry. I think a good strawberry is very, very fine. But I'm not crazy for strawberries. I think they're quite good. The valve on our pressure pot just sealed. Or popped up. So we are just there, I think. Let's see, that's kind of a narrow pan. And I need a stamper. Yeah, use this jar. Okay, I don't think I'm going to need the small whisk anymore, so I will put that away. We're going to continue needing this knife. We're going to cut these underripe berries. Well, they're not looking so nice on the inside. We will use these, I think, with the meat. since they are looking a little sad on the inside as well. And we'll use some of these overripe ones for the fruit topping on our cake. This is an enormous strawberry. Look at the size of this strawberry. This is a... It's bigger than an egg. This is a huge strawberry. Crazy. Picked a little bit too early, but crazy. Oh, I need a bowl to hold these. And they're pretty ripe toward the tips as well, so we're still going to get good strawberry out of them. Wow, the pressure pot's making a lot more sizzling noises than it usually does. I hope that's nothing to be worried about. Okay. That's a lot of strawberry. Okay, well, hang on to the... I'm actually going to salt these strawberries a little bit and let them sit. We're gonna almost like you would with a cabbage, kind of try to sweat them a little bit, because they're gonna sit now at least until the pork is done and cool enough to handle. And that, I'm not sure what that's gonna do, but it might do something. It might do something. How's our butter? Fully melted. And then we mix this in, and it should take on the consistency of wet sand. And we are going to start using the spatula. I'll get in there with my hands after a minute or so, just because that was hot butter, so I want to make sure it's at least cooled off enough that I don't burn my fingers by putting them right in there. But with the volume of the breadcrumb, or they're not breadcrumbs, graham crumbs. George, hi. Yep, it's strawberry time. Strawberries are coming in like crazy. You can got two packages of strawberries, and I got this one today, and I got this one on Friday. These guys are already getting a little bit soft. They're so ripe. And over the weekend, they got cheaper. So it's definitely strawberry season. We got to do strawberry stuff. Okay. But first things first. Oh, I got a lot of comments on that doll, which I doctored up the way I do with uh, what you call it, the Hawaiian bowl, poke bowl. I've never actually seen dolls served that way. I was just like, why not? And I've gotten a lot of response about it. I'm just using a small mason jar and then its lid because the bottom of these guys isn't perfectly flat, but it's good for pushing stuff up to the sides. And then I'm using the lid to flatten out the bottom because the lids are flat. When I do this in my large spring form, I use the bottom of my small saucepan. Oh, yeah, doll is delicious, affordable, and healthy. Cooking affordably and healthily is not hard. It just takes a little bit of knowledge. Okay. Our crust, we need to bake it for some time. I've got conflicting recipes about this. We blind bake it because otherwise it'll go soggy when we try to put the stuff in it. So we're gonna give that. It doesn't take very long. You can't really test it. You just kind of look at it and see if it's started to turn colors. Also, this recipe says 65 minutes, which is crazy. The smaller one says 25 minutes. Should have done that one. I know cheesecakes take a long time because they have to cook real slow, and the bigger they are, the slower they cook. I feel like you should just make a smaller or shorter cheesecake so it can cook through vertically. Whatevs. What evs. Speaking of which, we are at that stage of this project. Now, this cream cheese has been in my fridge explicitly much too long, but there's nothing wrong with it. So we're using it today. I'm not even going to tell you how expired it is because it's embarrassing. And I opened it up in advance to see if it was creepy, and it was not. As far as I could tell, it was perfectly fine. It smells good, it looks good, it has that perfect texture. I don't know what that expiration date means, because it doesn't seem to mean anything about it being bad. But we're using it up. 1 block cream cheese. And I'm also gonna I feel like this is too dense of a recipe. And I'm gonna change something up for it. So we are kind of winging cheesecake, which isn't a great idea. Honestly, not a great idea. Oop. Well, dropped that egg, so that egg is already broken, but in a really terrible place. Get that guy out of there before we get any shell fragments. Okay. I'm going to need a big whisk at some point, so I'll use that to get the eggs started. Now, I have multiple times made cheesecake, and every cheesecake recipe says that you start by beating the cream cheese by itself. The cream cheese is the hardest thing to beat of all of the elements of a cheesecake, but it gets easier when you add liquid to it. So it is mindless to me that that is the standard instruction. I understand not wanting to beat the eggs a ton, but come on. And also, we've had successful cheesecakes by violating that rule. So, just, ugh. Anyways, we need more sugar. Which comes out of the sugar tower, which does not have as nice a name as the flour tower. I hope we learned something today, because we're doing experiments. I can't not. This might be a complete fail. I have some yogurt, which I'm going to substitute in for part of my cream cheese. And I have some cream that I'm going to substitute in for another part of my cream cheese. Because I think an all cream cheese cheesecake is too dense, personally. I know it's supposed to be a dense thing, but there are limits. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use this. We have an ad now, actually. Oh, well. Okay, I know what the consistency should be like. And there's enough egg in this to bind it. So I'm just going to trust that when I mix, as I mix, it will stick together. I saw you. I saw you. That. It's nothing to worry about. And also, if I wasn't making cake, I was just using this as like a fried egg or something, I would have ignored it. But that little black spot is coming out of my cheesecake. I don't want a little black spot in my cheesecake. A little black spot inside of a isosceles. Hi. Little black spot inside of an egg is where the baby chick would start if we hadn't harvested this egg, which means that egg got over the finish line a little bit. By the time you get it at home, it's long since dead, but it's what that would have been. Oh, hi, isosceles. Welcome, welcome. The chunk inside my whisk is pissing me off. High five, mayo. Okay, you got it. I think that because the cream cheese was a little bit old, it might have dried out. That might be what we're fighting with here, because it's a little bit not wanting to incorporate even more than it usually doesn't want to incorporate. If you have a stand mixer, I don't necessarily recommend like a hand-powered mixer, but if you have a stand mixer, do this with a stand mixer. Vanilla. I'm also not putting in vanilla. I am putting in a superior flavor. Almond. So, hopefully that doesn't affect the recipe, but it shouldn't. At least not nearly as much as the other things that I've already done to this that will throw it off crazily. Mad science. A minute left on the meat. We also need some boiling water, so I'm going to put the kettle on. Ooh, don't have a place to put it. The kettle on. Not really. Put those eggs away and I will. Okay. Eggs away. Kettle on. We really, I went in there with my fingers. We really need these lumps to not be lumps. And they really don't want to not be lumps. And the best way to do that is to get in there with your fingers and delumpify them. Because the whisk is not biting into them, so. Oh, shoot. Why are these lumps so lumpy? Probably because most of my ingredients are fridge cold and they should be all room temp when you put them in here so that things don't seize. But I said, oh shoot, just now because I need to absolutely take my crust out of the oven right now. It has already been in there too long. It's probably burned. Shoot, I just realized that after I put my hands in the goo. In the very slippery goo. Scraping my hands off because I don't want to lose a ton of this stuff to the transition. I also need to vent the pressure on my cooker. Okay. Okay. Pressure is just going to go. We're making no ceremony of it because I have to get this out of there. Okay. It doesn't look real burned, so I'm going to assume it's fine. It looks like that. So I'm going to assume it's fine. Oh, I know I said I didn't want to use electric mixer for this, but with these lumps, I might have to just to get this delumpified. Keep that handy, but rinse the handle off. Water, yeah. Okay. Okay, well. We're pulling. I want to get this in the oven sooner rather than later because I need to get to that pork. Okay. Okay. Okay, the pork went beep, beep, beep. We're gonna unlock it and open the lid so that it can cool off a little bit. Because it needs to do that before I can handle it regardless. We're getting out the powered mixer, which I haven't used in a while, just because this doesn't want to... The lumps don't want to go away, so I'm going to force them. Oops, and I reset my second screen. It's fine. Ugh. Come on. Okay, well, I predict a mess. And as your doctor says, check for lumps. Ooh. This is a real runny mixture. Maybe I should have followed the recipe. There are still quite a few lumps in there. I don't want to beat this too much or we'll end up with a souffle instead of a cheesecake. So we might just have to say, I made a lumpy cheesecake today. You can't see me. Oh, I blipped. Can you see me? Or can you just not see the camera, the overhead camera? When I blipped the screen, I blipped the camera because they're attached to each other. Because I'm using the screen as a bridge. Also, hi, Bookwoman. Well, there's not much I can do about this part right now. It's both runny and lumpy in really awkward ways. I think it's going to be a little bit too runny, but I can't really add a bunch more volume to it because then it'll just overflow our container. So I guess we're just going to deal with it. Pot holder. Join me over here. Oh, crazy. This goes in here. I think we might end up with a bit of a souffle. I want it to cover the edges of our crust at the least. Yeah, we're not doing that. Thanks, but no. Oh, I should have. that was dumb. Okay. I 100% should have put that on the tray there before I put the water into it. Nocturne, hi! We're going to attempt to get this down there without spilling it. We succeeded. Okay. And now, I have no idea how long that's going to be in there because we changed a bunch of stuff. Oh, I'm glad you think it looks good. It has some major procedural errors that I think are going to cause it to be more of a custard than a cheesecake. I trusted myself too much. But it's only one element of what we're working with, and I haven't done a cheesecake in a long time, so I wanted to. I need a refresher. I don't know what happened to my old cheesecake recipe that had sour cream in it. This one that I have here is just entirely cream cheese, which I've never been able to beat cream cheese smooth without major hardware, and I don't have major hardware. So it says you can do it by hand with a whisk, but that seems like nonsense. My old one, my previous recipe, and I guess I have to go hunting now, had sour cream as part of the cream element, as part of the dairy element, which is softer. Well, no, it was cream cheese. It wasn't just sour cream. It was cream cheese, but it wasn't just cream cheese. It was cream cheese and another dairy that was softer, because cream cheese is so solid. And this recipe is just cream cheese. And yeah, there's cream cheese in there. There's an entire brick of cream cheese in there. And then to loosen it up a little bit, I cut it with yogurt and a glug of heavy cream. I gotta find the recipe I used before, which called for sour cream and heavy cream in addition to the cream cheese. So we'll find out. Whatever happens in there, we'll find out. It's gonna be edible. Either way. Oh, anyways, hi. Selena! You're the first one here. Amazing. Amazing. First one here again. Some kind of record. It's so weird nobody shows up before you. Okay. Our cake thing is in the oven, beyond our control, out of our hands. We're done with it. But that is certainly not our only project today. You can already see strawberry smudges. That is not our only project today. We also have meat. How long do cheesecakes bake is a good question, and the answer is it depends on how big your cheesecake is. And the one that this is a 6-inch cheesecake, but again, I'm not following the recipe as written because I thought it was a dumb recipe, and I should have found a new recipe before I started instead of just winging it. But whatever, we're here. Here we are now. It says bake for 65 to 75 minutes. What I'm going to do is check it because it's not that big. It's a 6-inch cheesecake. It's a little tiny. It's not one. It's not this giant full size one that takes an hour, 75 to takes 75 minutes to bake. I don't know why that little one would take 75 minutes to bake, except that this recipe is bizarre. I should have done the 4-incher. Except the 4-inch one called for it makes 2, and that's crazy. Just ugh. Anyways. We are going to use those drippings, so we're going to reserve them in the pot where they are. These guys are blistering out. We got to get the bones out of there, and then I want to kind of break it up. The bones are trash. That's a bone. The bones should, because we cooked it, just pop off. The issue is that it's hot. In fact, some of these bones might pop off too much. Yeah, I'm not a huge baker. What's this? These are pork riblets that I started the day by slapping in our pressure cooker. And I almost think we should. It was a discount. It was a discount find. So it's like the awkward end pieces. You can even see it's got these like little pointy bits of the where the end of the cartilages are. Oh, wow. I'm getting. I think it's the first time, to my knowledge, that I've seen someone's gotten here from recommendations. That's a great sign. Is this somebody's neck? No, these are pork riblets. This is pork. This is somebody's torso. And we're just getting the gnarly bits out and discarding them. I've already thrown the packaging away, but this was like $2 because it was in the discount bin. Um, Ow, ow, shit. And of course, we pressure cooked it, so it is screaming hot. Um, all the meat bits are just sort of fall apart tender. Well, they're at least tear apart tender. No, they're falling apart pretty well. But since it's riblets, there's a lot of little bits in between that you got to get rid of because they're never going to break down. They're never going to get to eat them. Well, you can eat cartilage if you really want to, but it's never going to be tender. It's always going to be chewy little things. So get rid of it. And it is, of course, the reason that this particular thing was in the discount bin. Because who wants the part with the little cartilage ends on it? Because then they got to do all this work to get rid of it. Ryuya, hi. This is neither of those things. This is riblets. Oh, and this one has a big chunk. I think a part of a sternum, maybe? No. This is the outer edges of the ribs. So this is, I don't know, some big piece of cartilage. Actually a lot of cartilage in this. Okay, this one might end up not being such a great pick out of the discount bin just because as I'm pulling this one away, this one has a huge chunk in it that's just kind of nasty that we're going to pull the good meat away from and throw away. Also, hi, Rayuya. I like pork riblets too, just this appears to be the gnarliest part of the pork riblets. which again is why it was in the discount bin, why I ended up with it today. Because I'm sure everyone else looked at it and was like, ew, I don't want that particular one. I want the nicer one. So anything that doesn't break up, because we pressure cooked it, so the meat parts will just break apart with your fingers. Anything that doesn't break apart with your fingers is either bone or cartilage or something else that's not going to break down. I'm not sure what this is. It's really rubbery. So we're going to get rid of it. I'm just kind of taking all these bits and pinching them, and if they're pinchable, then they're good. And if they're not, they're not. Simple as. There'll probably be, I don't know, one or two little bits that escape me, but yep. This is why I wanted to get the pork done first. I've plotted out today's projects hopefully in a good, sane manner, so I have a lot to do while we do each thing, assuming I don't screw stuff up. Which I already have because of the cheesecake. Wait, what? Oh, this is Jacob. This is Jacob. His neck was on the line. We're getting rid of him in a neat way. Some of these are extra gnarly. And some of them aren't. That piece. And that piece. Okay. Well, I suppose I got what I pay for. I wasn't going to do pork today, but I saw these in the discount bin and was like, "Ooh, that's a good idea." But they're living up to their discount binness. That's plenty once I get rid of that cartilage. Wash my hands. Okay. Moving along, finally. Wow. I showed up on someone's recommended. Oh, and we have an ad. And the ad break is over. I already missed it. An ad snuck up on me and then it was done. As usual. I'm not even paying attention. Um, I think we're gonna use this one. Let's pop over Mia. Take our broth slash drippings and bring it up to a simmer, along with molasses. Molasses. Okay. Okay. Probably should put this in here and started it simmering right away because I want to get rid of most of the liquid. So let's just pop it onto full blast and get it bubbling. Clean up that before it hardens in place. Slide back over. Fork's going to sit to the side. Clean off our board. Okay, get that simmering. Get out the, where's the small saucepan? Get out the small saucepan and take some of these overripe berries and trim them up. Nope, didn't even get the core out of that one. And then you don't want to hard boil, you want to simmer. Okay. Some of these are, yeah, a little over already. That's how quick your fresh strawberry goes. I suppose technically I'm measuring these. I'm approximating a cup of sliced berries. That one's hollow. but really I'm eyeballing it. I'm just pretty much taking any one that looks even slightly over the hill. Ooh, like this gigantic one with a couple of spots on it. Because anyone that is even slightly over the hill today is going to be very over the hill tomorrow. Like that guy. Oop, he might be completely gone. He's brown in the middle. That is a bad sign. I can core him on both ends. Oh, so what's everyone else doing for strawberry season? Or, just for dinner? Not everything has to be about strawberries. Although, if you have stories about strawberry season, tell me those first. Ugh, come on. I think my pork dripping molasses sounds like it's reducing, so I'll have to go check on that in a sec. That's about right. That looks just about right. Rinse your hands off. Oh, I see why it's doing that. It's because of the fat layer floating. It's kind of insulating the underlying pork broth. Interesting. Not currently strawberry season there. Okay, mine's just kicked up, but I know global audiences and all that. Toast or cereal? Oh, breakfast. If you don't mind my asking, what zone of the world? If it's breakfast time, because I'm working on dinner. It is firmly in the PMs around here. Australia. Neat. I actually watch quite a few people from Australia because they're on. They start up late into my evening, and then the late runs are on first thing in the morning. So I catch them sort of on either end of the day. My strawberries are definitely coming in a little bit early. I'm getting them from the store. I'm not getting them local. we are making a strawberry topping for our cheesy cake. Waveformer, subscribed. Let me do a little song and dance. There you go. That's what you get. That was my song and dance. I hope it was all you dreamed of. Okay, so that is going to be our strawberry topping for our cheesecake, which again, I don't want to peek at it because you don't want to peek at cheesecakes midway a lot. And this, we're trying to get rid of the liquidy bits. But I'm actually not concerned about overcooking the pork. So I'm going to add it now and get it really infused. I might regret using a stainless for this because the sugar is going to make this go a little sticky. And also, from the beginning, if you remember, and it worked a little bit, more strawberries. The underripest ones that I sliced up and lightly salted. Yeah, I mean, in every zone, there are people on at every time. One of the people I watch very frequently is in Sweden, but and I watch her at times that are very convenient for me, but it's because she streams overnight on her time. So, okay, and those slightly underripe ones might retain a little bit more texture, and they are going to, yes, I assaulted them. They have been assaulted. You can tell by the way that they're so pale. I scared them. Those ones got sugared. Let's keep the spatulas separate so that I don't accidentally dip the meat. If I dip that one in here, I don't think it'll matter, but if I dip that one in there, I think we'll spoil our strawberry syrup. I am approximating bulgogi with the pork, swapping out the pear for strawberry, the beef for pork, and just kind of loosely remembering what else goes into it. So in that way, I'm not at all. But, you know, it's probably fine. It's likely close enough. I'm actually going to pull up a recipe as a reminder now that I've overcommitted and can't go back. But we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We've substituted in pork. We've substituted in strawberry. We need some garlic. We need some soy sauce. We're going to use less than normal soy sauce because I don't want to dump on the strawberry. We added molasses instead of sugar. There was a lot of water in there already because there was stock, sesame oil, sesame seed, something spicy. Nocturne is going to lurk. Thank you so much for the lurk. We have a lurk. I don't have a lurk command, but I have a lurk emote, which should be a follower emote if you were so inclined. Adding a little bit of sesame oil. Bait people into following me so they can use the little smush. We're adding a couple of flavor oils. We're adding powdered garlic to this. That's the one. I love that little guy. I love that little guy. He's so cool. He's my favorite. He's my favorite one. I always wanted a lurk that was, because a lot of people are like peeking around a corner. So I wanted one that was just like a little smudge. You could barely see it. So I made it myself. Okay, I think I have some gross over-the-hill green onions, and if I do, we're going to aggressively trim away all the stuff. Selena is also lurking. I have some very over-the-hill green onions. We're going to trim away all the gross bits, and whatever's left is going in there. They pretty much just dry out from the end, so it's not like they're slimy. They're all just dried out. But there's little bits of them that aren't dried out. And those are the bits that we are going to seek. You can see, trimmed it away. Perfectly good looking grunion. Trim the end. I don't know why. I usually use green onions like really quickly, so I'm surprised that this batch got away from me so much. But it shows off how to address green onions that have gotten away from you, at least. You do end up losing some of the green onion, so it's ideally you don't have to do this, but if you do, you just kind of slit them along one side, because then you can peel away the dry outer layer, or however many dry outer layers there are, quite easily. However many layers you're willing or desiring to sacrifice, it's easy to get rid of them. Because again, they don't go, unless you've got them like bound up in a container that can't breathe at all, they don't go gross, they just kind of dry out. If they were wrapped up tight in a container, they would dry out slower, but also when they started to go off, they would get slimy. So I usually put them in the crisper drawer, just loose. Oh, like that one. That one's not good. I usually just have them loose in the crisper drawer in their rubber band bundle. It is not a new fancy knife. No, I've had this knife for a long time. My newest set of knives are the all metal ones, which I frequently don't reach for because they are situated slightly behind my screen. But it's these guys. These are the new fancy ones. They're all steel, which makes for very, very easy cleaning. I don't know that I use this. This is not the first one I reach for. Of my 3 small paring knives, which we've actually used, we've only used 2 of them. One of them was in my drying area. These are the 3 I typically use for my small paring knives. I usually reach for this one first, because it has a very thin blade and it is quite sharp. And this one is Victorinox, which is the brand that makes the Swiss Army knife. This is a good knife. It actually is finally developing a point where I need to maybe need to sharpen it. But it's a good knife, and the blade is very thin, which makes maneuvering it very easy. These 2 are the same basic knife. They're a slightly thicker blade. They're the same size paring knife. And of the 2 of them, this one, the Wusthof, is by far the better knife. So I frequently reach for this one first between the 2 of them when I want something with a little bit more sturdiness to it. So this is the knife that gets reached for when the other 2 are already used. So frequently it's the one you don't see. That's it. That's the only reason. And now there's the Sabatier paring knife. Same thing. Who has recently been sharpened, and I probably should be using, because he's got a good razor edge on him. And he also comes with his friend, the tiny Santoku, which I guess is for cutting small sticky things. I don't know. Anyways, we're cutting onion now, and now that knife is not ideal. So let's draw a differenter knife. Each knife has a different basic purpose. The one that does the most things is this one, the 8-inch chef's knife. If you only have one knife, get this one. This is the one knife. Because in a pinch, if you want to cut something real narrow, you can kind of hold it up here and like dig. It's not ideal. You really want to hold it back here by the heel. You always want to hold a knife back here because it's balanced. No, these guys are slightly off balance. The balance point of a knife should always be right at that heel, right where your hand is when you're doing it. Oh, so as to take all the strain off of your wrist. All right. Our strawberry meat is looking interesting. I want to cook it until, again, I'm not worried about overcooking the pork, and actually it'd be nice if the pork got a little bit of crispy edges on it. So I want to cook this until the strawberries are just kind of disintegrating. As for our strawberry syrup, I want the strawberries up here to be soft, but I want there to be a lot of good red liquid that is thick and syrupy to work with. And strawberry has a lot of pectin in it, so you should not need any thickeners to make a strawberry syrup thicken. You should just be able to do it with it as it is, with just strawberries. And that actually might be done. That one actually might be done. I'm gonna let it bubble on residual, but it's leaving a good sheen on my spatula, which means it's thick enough to stick to the spatula. You don't need anything nice. That's the thing. You don't need a whole set of fancy knives. You don't need a whole block. Like people sell knife blocks that have all these things in them. You don't need any of that. If you get one knife, all you need is a 8-inch chef's knife. Talk about knives for a sec. Things are cooking. We're gonna heat down on that. Talk about knives for a sec. If you need one knife, 8-inch chef's knife. If you have a dishwasher and you want to be able to put your knife in the dishwasher, which is not recommended, but people do it, get one that either has a plastic or a metal handle. Because if you get one with a wood handle, the dishwasher will ruin the handle. Wood does not play with the dishwasher. But you should wash them by hand, and then the wood handle's fine. So the 8-inch chef's knife, and you can see that 8-inch isn't an exact value. I suppose if I slid that one up, they line up. This is my usual go-to knife for everything. This one right here with the wood handle. But yeah, so if you put your knife in the dishwasher, they always say don't put your knives in the dishwasher. Well, the reason is a lot of knives have either wooden handles or this is an enameled wooden handle, which also shouldn't go in the dishwasher. Plastic and metal, the dishwasher's not going to hurt them. The other reason you don't put, they say, is because the dishwasher agitates, and if the blade edge knocks against something in the dishwasher, it can damage the thing, but it can also damage the blade. So if you put it in there, make sure it's not going to bump into anything, which shouldn't be too hard, and then make sure it doesn't have a wooden handle. And then I would say you're probably fine. The soap and the water in the dishwasher aren't going to hurt the blade. It's all the stuff in there that hurts the blade. So if you get one knife, get that one. If you get a second knife, get I don't know how many inches that is, a small paring knife. These two knives I use for nearly everything. So if you're going to get two knives, get those two knives. If you're going to get three knives, your third knife should probably be serrated because that can do things that these guys can't do. Beyond that, you're talking about more specialty stuff. Like I've got a bunch of knives. I've got one of these guys, which I love. It's got the little divots for releasing things from the surface. And also, because of the shape, you can do this with it really easily, the sort of slide chop. And often you'll see me grab this one when I'm having to do a bunch of herbs, and I'll just sort of prop it and go like that. But you don't need to do that. That's a advanced, neat trick. It's a fun trick. Not a necessary part of cook at all. Bookworm wants me to peek on the cheesecake. It's very jiggle. The divots aren't necessary, they're just a fun bonus. Oop. While I was talking, I burnt the bottom of the pan a little bit, so we are going to take advantage of that and develop a bit of a pan sauce, developing that as a fond. I knew this was going to happen because this was such a sticky combination, but I'm just going to throw some sake in there, scrape that up. I was asking for trouble doing this in doing sugary things in a stainless, but as long as you catch it before it blackens, you can unstick it and incorporate it. That's probably a sign that we're just about through with cooking it, though. Yeah, perfect. Oh, Beeformer, you were asking about using stainless as well. We're using stainless today. This is a stainless pan with actually molasses and strawberries in it. And you saw we just had a little bit of a sticking problem. And now we have a nice clean bottom. And all I did was give it a little splash. And it doesn't have to be sake. I did sake for some flavor. A little splash of liquid and a little scrape with something with a straight edge is all it takes to lift that up and join everything back into your dish. But I'm going to take the heat off on that now and slide it over. I don't think I want to re-stick it anymore. Strawberries look pretty well mushed up, which is what I was shooting for. So I'm going to call that part done as well. My strawberry syrup also looking quite good. So yeah, like I said, I would only because we were talking about stainless versus nonstick. I have the nonsticks. I use them for something like sugar is a notoriously sticky ingredient, but as long as you get it before it actually burns, when it turns black and burns, then you have a problem. But as long as you catch it before that, while it's just at the sticking stage, it's not hard to get things to sort of release. The only things that have a just nightmarish time releasing are things like egg, where it's essentially liquid protein that binds when you heat it. So it binds to the pan as well. You can cook an egg in a stainless pan, but you tend to have to put a lot of oil into it. And it'll still be a bit of a hassle. But for the most part, stainless does the job. And then cast iron does the job for nearly everything else. I didn't do that on purpose. Stainless was the pan we reached for today because it was the one I wanted to use for the job. This stuff should be fine, but I do want to give it a taste, see if I need to add anything to it before we completely call it done. Okay. Tell you what it needs is hot. It needs spicy. It needs piquancy. It needs some black pepper. I should do a whole thing about cast iron because there's the people. That exact thing you just said about cast iron. There are people online who go crazy about you have to take care of your cast iron. You gotta baby it. You gotta clean it certain ways. Here's my cast iron, or one of several. They're hanging up there. We have a little bit. Oops, we have a little bit of time because of the cheesecake's still too jiggly. And you see it's kind of got an irregular spottiness to it. Don't be scared is essentially the best way to season a cast iron is to cook on it. The term seasoning is because a seasoned cast iron traditionally was one that had been used a lot. It was seasoned as in has been through a lot of seasons, and just developed this burnt in black surface through use. Because this isn't the color of iron. This is the black stuff is the burnt in oil on the surface. And they also say don't wash it with soap. I wash these with soap. Sometimes, not every time. For the most part, stuff just releases because that's the whole point of these guys. I use the sprayer nozzle on my sink and I just go, and all the bits just fall off. And then I look at it, and if there's no bits on there, I call it done. And if there are, I give it a little scrub with my scrubby sponge until the bits aren't there, and that's it. You rarely need to go through the formal seasoning process, and the people who go crazy about cleaning it, I think, are full of themselves. I should do a whole thing on cast iron because I'm sure that would get people mad at me because I'm not doing anything according to the the way it must be done. Just yeah, okay. Let's drop my half a loaf of rye bread as I fumble around behind the screen for my tortilla. We're not making our own tortilla. We're using pre-made tortilla. We also need an onion, and I'm gonna say some tomato. And a little bit of cabbage. Hot takes, yes. No, I also at one point was taken in by the cast iron cultists who were like, it has to be done perfectly. It doesn't have to be done perfectly. And also, I've gotten all of my cast iron from thrift stores where I buy it rusty, caked on crap. As long as it's not cracked or like deeply pitted, you can bring it back. You just scrape the rust off, and I'm seeing if I've got a very old head of cabbage, and I'm seeing if there are any good leaves on the inside that aren't dried out. And I think that there might be none. Oh well. I'll have to get some new cabbage. So no cabbage. If you thrift one, the only things you gotta watch out for is make sure you don't get one that's cracked. Cast iron can crack sometimes if it is abused, and a crack will worsen over time as you try to use the pan and can make it just break in half. So that's the one thing to watch out for. Make sure it's not cracked. Other than that, it's easy to get one. It's easy to, even really crappy ones, it's easy to bring them back with a little bit of elbow grease. You need some elbow grease. If it's real rusty, you're going to need some elbow grease. But otherwise, it's not that hard to bring back. I should Well, I say I should, but I would have to find another new one. And I could do a full restoration of one here on the stream. But I would have to find one that in need of restoration. And I am currently full up on pans that I need, so then I'd have to unload the pan afterwards. But yeah, cast iron's one of those things. It's like the people who are babying their cast iron pans are forgetting that the cast iron pan was used as the standard workhorse pan for hundreds of years, and they weren't babying it during all that time. They were beating the heck out of it. They were putting it on a literal open fire. And then and they didn't have dish soap. It didn't exist. They didn't have a big jar of salt to scrub it with. They were just wiping it down with a rag or putting it on the heat to burn off whatever was on it. Nonstick and stainless are neat, recent developments in cooking, but they've made people forget about the old, just basic stuff. Find one and mail it to me. Yeesh, I don't want to think about shipping for something like that. Awkwardly shaped and heavy. Mm-hmm. That knife is too small for that tomato. And that knife is perfectly sharp for that tomato. That's a big thing about knives too. Make sure they're sharp. You are more likely to hurt yourself on a dull knife than a sharp knife. Because as you can see, I'm just gliding. I'm just forward to get it started, and I'm just kind of gliding through, and the weight of the knife is doing all the work. I'm not even pressing down. Well, I'm pressing down for this last one because it's awkwardly shaped. But whereas a dull knife, I'd be getting into it, and then I could slip. That's a big factor. Yeah, temperature shocking is how you crack it, when you take it right from hot to cold or right from cold to hot. Either by taking a cold pan and putting it right on a hot burner, or taking a hot pan and like usually running water on it. That's how you can crack it, is those quick thermal shocks. And yeah, soaking it is not good for it. So in theory, if your seasoning is completely perfectly contiguous, it will repel the water, but nobody's seasoning is perfect. So you really don't want to soak it, because the water will find that little gap and get in there and start to rust stuff. Hi, Kimmy Karma. Welcome. Um, things are looking good. I need to check my cheesecake. Well, it's got a little brown spot on the top, which is a good sign. It's very jiggly, but it might be just the right amount of very jiggly, possibly. I'm going to turn the heat off and crack the door just a smidge and let it start cooling down now. And hopefully, by the time I have assembled the tacos, tasted the tacos, taken photos, come back, we can... Oh, that's a great idea for a command. I don't have that command, but that's a great idea for a command. I don't have that command. We are making, it's in the title, I also don't have that command. That's a good idea. Well, that's not a good idea for a command because I never follow a recipe. I mix stuff up as I go. So I wouldn't know what to put in there. Um, that one would just be empty all the time. I am making a strawberry cheesecake, which is why over here on the stove I have a homemade strawberry syrup and strawberry pork Korean tacos. I really should write this stuff down. Many people have said that, and many people have asked specifically for specific recipes of things I've made. You're absolutely right, I should. How many tacos do I want? I'm probably only going to make 2. None of my moderator, I should say none of my moderator. My one moderator is not here right now. But my community is so small, I typically just self-moderate because I'm paying attention to you guys right there. For a little while, I had one of my viewers was taking the time to watch my VODs back and write stuff down, which you can do on my YouTube channel, which is just literally an archive of all of my VODs from here. Because I don't put any effort into it, but it exists. And I can post it. There it is. Boy, that'd be. I need. We're not currently running a bot, so none of the commands will work because I don't have any of them set up for a bot. I'm gonna go warm. We have a hot oven. I don't need to go to the microwave. I was about to say I would warm those in the microwave, but we do not need to warm those in the microwave. We can warm them in the residuals of the hot oven. How long have I been streaming? Let's see what YouTube says. Wow, a lot of videos. A lot of videos with no views. Wow. Well, YouTube says I have 2 years worth of VODs on there, so that long. Okay. So yeah, I am very slow to do things to help myself in general, which is awkward. You've come in at a good time though, because we are going to presently, I was just cutting onion and tomato to build my little tacos with, because we're going to build the tacos, take some glamour shots, which you can view on Discord. I've got that too. Hold on. This is why I need a bot. This is why I need a bot. I post my photos of my food on the Discord. I should be updating my Instagram, but I always forget that. So that Instagram is very behind. But there's also an Instagram. A lot of discussion, which is fine, because I had some things that needed some downtime anyways. A lot of discussion all at once, which is nice. I love having discussion. Oh, I downloaded Firebot at one point, and I told it how to link with my things, and then I never bothered to set anything up. Technically, I have it. Well, thank you. Okay. Get out another plate. We're just going to use standard round white plates. The tortillas just needed to be lightly warmed, which makes them a little bit more pliable, which is when you're doing a burrito, you absolutely need to do. We're just doing tacos, so it's not nearly as important to get it perfectly right. Where did I put those? Oh, they're over here. Perfect. Tongs. We're gonna make a pair of taco. Unfortunately, my photo station is occupied by a pile of Legos. So we're gonna have to take photos in an awkward non-photo station way, but I'm still gonna go to the other room because I think the lighting is better for the photo over there. I do have to relink a lot. I would, what I need to do is just get, and the thing I've never learned to do, make those little square panels that go underneath the video, because then I could just put Discord link, Instagram link, YouTube link down there and say below. I've never learned how to do that. I spend all my time just doing the cooking part of the show here. Okay, looking at these guys, they need something. They need something green. We've gone with white onion, so I don't want to go with green onion. So let's see if I have any good parsley that I can just sort of tear and put on there. Yeah, the parsley's looking pretty good. I will just do some parsley. That will give us our green pop. Okay. Let's take this to the other room. I will be back. I'm going to run an ad so that since I'm going to be out of the room for a minute anyways, I'm going to run a 1.5-minute ad. See you afterwards. I'm in the other room taking photos. Just to help us preempt it interrupting me later for something else. Oh. People who can see me through the ad are getting a special tidbit because I've just decided in this moment that there's no visible strawberry on my taco, and I want there to be, so. We will get the cheesecake. We're busy. If we don't need to peek the cheesecake. The cheesecake's already been turned off. I'm going to be late coming back from my photos. Okay. And I am late coming back from my photos. The cheesecake needs as much resting time as I can give it before I get it out of there because I think I might have turned it off early. It's real jiggly. I think we might have cheesecake soup. Honestly, I think we might have cheesecake soup. Or at the very least, we might have to refrigerate it to get it to set up because it looks pretty jiggly still. Anyways, here's our tacos. They are looking fine. So let's give them a taste. Move stuff. I did put some strawberry on them because I figured they needed it for the photo. Mmm. 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 Okay, the meat is rich and sticky and sweet, but not like overpoweringly sweet. And I'm glad it didn't any soy sauce because it certainly does not need any more savoriness. It's got a good, like, sticky savoriness to it. The fresh strawberry does not jump out at me. It is getting lost in the amount of things. The onion overpowers it a little bit. It's good for the appearances, though. The fresh parsley actually is giving me a very strong sort of bright herbaceous flavor. Mm. It complements the sticky savoriness of the meat really well. Mm. Honestly, the raw onions are a little bit harsh. I would either cook them a little bit or swap them out for red onion. This is just yellow onion. They're a little bit harsh raw like this. Or honestly, they probably should be scallions instead on top. I think that because they're less intensely flavored. I think that would work better. But too late now, and I didn't do it because I put them in the mix directly. This stuff would actually be really good over rice or noodles, like a rice noodle. If I'd cooked the onions with the meat in the pressure cooker, I would have had a hard time getting them out. But I could have thrown them in the pan with the strawberries when I started reducing the drippings liquid, and then they would have just infused it, which the strawberries did. They're not real strong. They're just barely there. I think they're contributing to that sort of sticky sweetness of the meat. It's really interesting. It's sort of mouth coating, and it's like noticeably sticky sweet, like syrupy, but not cloyingly sweet, not overpoweringly sweet. It's a sweet savory thing without hiding from the sweetness. I like it. I don't know that the strawberries made a huge difference specifically from like pear, which is the traditional, or apple, which we've done here before. I actually think maybe it's a little bit less acidic. We could probably have put a little bit of vinegar in that mix, so like a dash of rice vinegar in that mix, since strawberries are less acidic than apples or pears. Asian pears, I should say. Didn't we do this with raspberries once? And we really like leaned in on the tartness. I remember doing something like that. I'll have to go back to my archives and look. I'm going to, I was hoping against hope that the cheesecake would go a little bit faster. I should have done the 4-inch. I should have done the 4-inch. Balsamic, maybe. I feel like balsamic might also add sweetness. I'm going to pull this up to the front, to the top, and we're going to look at it together. That's what it looks like. It's nice and smooth on the top, but it's got a jiggle, but not like a super liquidy jiggle, like a medium liquidy jiggle. So it looks approximately how a cheesecake looks. You're supposed to have a little jiggle in the middle. The issue is I can't cut it until it cools down. I should have done that. I have a 4-inch. I have a 4-inch springform to make a little bitty mini baby one. I should have just done that, because then it would have been cooked faster, and we could have cooled it by the time I needed to. Now, it's. I think it's gonna take, since we only just got it out. I think it is just set. It might be just underset. But that cheesecake is going to take at least an hour to cool to the point where it's solidified, and probably longer than that. And I have nothing else to fill my time. So I guess you're gonna have to come check on the Discord for photos of this thing. When it's cooled, I'll cut it, and we will see if it gooshes out the middle or if it holds together. I guess that's all I can do. There's I remember, and I'd have to go back and look. I did make a cheesecake once in the little 4-inch guy here, and we sliced it on stream. I put it in right at the start, and at the end of stream, it was ready, and it was cool enough to slice, and I sliced it. So I know it is possible to squeeze it in, but that one took longer because it was larger. And there's nothing I can do about that now. We just have to do what it do. So I guess that is an incentive to sign up for the Discord. By the way, membership dues are due on the 1st for the Discord. I am, of course, joking. It looks fine, and it's a little bit jiggly, but it's not I don't think it's over. No, there is no membership dues for our Discord. There's actually no controls at all on it. Um, um, so yes, that'll be my primary place. I guess also poke me and remind me to put it on Instagram because I always forget. My Instagram is so far behind. But I should be posting things to Instagram as well. And I guess that's where we have to wrap up because I can't go further with the cake in its current state. I can taste our strawberry syrup just to let you know how. Yes, good point. That's your dues for being part of the Discord. Post pictures of your own delicious foods. I love to see them. Oh. Okay. Well, that part is a smashing success. Strawberry syrup. Good Lord, that tastes good. Woo! Okay, well, looking forward to eating that part. Wow, it tastes exactly how you think it tastes. It tastes like strawberries, but like really sweet and soft and sticky and beautiful. So at least that part's a success. Eat the last little piece of parsley. So I guess, yeah, I wrap us up. We pop back up to my smiling face. Oh, we have a new member of the Looking Over Us from On High group. Along with the gentleman, we now have Ladleosaurus lives up here, gazing fondly down upon all that we do. Uh, yeah, we'll see who's on at this time of day. In this part of the country, localized entirely within my kitchen. I can open a new tab. Is Jim starting or ending? Jim is 45 minutes in. We're rating Jim. Yeah, Ladleosaurus here. I'll bring Ladleosaurus down. He's our newest guest, gazing down upon us from on high. Uh, I agree with Ryu Reformer. That salmon looked great. What I gotta move is our jar of homemade chili oil up here that has gotten progressively angrier and angrier as it sits there. So yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the follows, new people. Thanks for jumping into the Discord. We do have anonymous follows, so if you, mostly because I'm just not watching the thing and I don't even notice when someone follows. So if you want to follow, I won't call you out. Yeah, stay tuned for pictures of that cheesecake, I guess. If we'll post pictures either way. If I cut into it and it's just a soup, there's going to be a picture of a soup. Yeah, so as always, I will be back for sure on Friday. And if I am inspired in between now and then, I will jump in for a surprise inspiration stream as well, which happens occasionally. Bye.